overseen by King James, and the care and precise attention to detail during this 7-year translation, the King James Bible was considered one of the most accurate translations in existence. This black king was the first to sit on 3 thrones at once, which was Scotland, England, and Northern Ireland. The King James 1611 Bible also included the Apocrypha. For various reasons, 14 books were subsequently taken out of the 1611 King James Bible. Thankfully, the 1611 King James Version is still available, which includes the Apocrypha. We would also like to point out that the Moors settled in Spain and southern Europe in 711 CE. Significant numbers of black people found their way to northern Europe countries such as Scotland, Ireland, France, and Denmark. Since the beginning of the first millennium, the nations of Scotland and Ireland had a significant number of blacks who in Scotland wielded political power as the kings and rulers. This is a little known fact in black history. In 1565, Queen Mary was married by her cousin, a black Scottish man of the royal family who was called Darnley. Darnley was killed in 1567, but he had left the queen a male heir of her own lineage. Queen Mary's son James was born a few months before his father's murder. Thus, he became the first king of England. James VI was therefore the son of a black man and a colored woman. We often hear about black royalty in Africa, but it is a little known fact that there was actually royalty in Europe as well. Yes, folks, King James, the translator of the Bible, was a black man. Let me say, one of the translators of the Bible. As you know, the Bible has been translated many times, but the most popular version in use in America for many years has been the King James Version. His actual version was the King James 1611, which included the Apocrypha. The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel, where black history is
Well. Very informative. Now, I don't know if anybody picked up on the fact that he mentioned that when the Moors came in, they came in as Hebrews. A lot of them were Hebrews, Israelites. Now, a lot of people actually think all Moors were actually Muslims. And even to a certain degree, I'm not going to lie to you, a few years ago, I believed this. But I've been updated since then. Moors came in as both Muslims and Hebrews. And the one thing that had in common, not just the fact that they were the same tribe, but the fact that they spoke the same language, which was Arabic. Now, this is something people don't really understand. The Arabic is quite an ancient language, and the Hebrews that were associated with Judaism were actually writing and speaking Arabic before this Hebrew stuff came up. So it's something, again, I'll just drop that as a little tidbit because it's something I'm going to revisit as we move along, as I get to discuss the Moorish influence on this planet. Something that I know quite a bit about, and plus I've got other very, very well-researched people that I'm going to be joining on to verify certain things. It's very important because it actually is in line with everything that we've been talking about to do with this global aspect of history. Okay, so now that was that piece out of the way, I'm going to let it marinate with people for a couple of minutes because this is world history, something for the children to enjoy, something for the children to learn, something that, I mean, they won't get it at school, obviously, but this is truth. It can be researched, and there's so many books. I recited something from Lee Cummins' books the last couple of weeks ago. I will revisit Lee Cummins. I will actually touch in on J.A. Rogers. There'll be a couple of well-rounded authors that we're going to look into, because their research is extraordinary, and you know, it can't be faulted. And all you can do is just enjoy, do some research. It's just beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to play a couple of tracks and not a couple of tracks. I'm going to play one quick track. I'm going to go into another little piece to do with monarchy. This one will be about the various queens of England. It's nice. It's a short one as well. No, I think it's about 15 to 20 minutes, but it's very informative. So I'm going to play one track while I draw this up, and it's going to be a very informative afternoon for the first half, and for the second half I'll be talking a little bit more than usual, but it's something I really wanted to go into. So yeah, I'm going to play something for my people, and let's have a look what we got on offer. I'm going to play some, you know, different beats today. I'm going to play some Afro beats, because I really believe our people, they need to really get a well-rounded bit of music out of me, because I've got an eclectic taste, but I've just got to be careful I don't play stuff that's going to get this channel struck down. But yeah, this track is Ghanaian. It's quite an old track, but I like it, and I think you'll love it too. It's called Ahomkowu, and it's by VIP, Ghanaian group. Yep. Straight in. That was just to give me some backdrop time to get my stuff in order. We're gonna go into a short. Well, hopefully it's short. I haven't checked the full length of it, but if it looks like it's going on too long, I am gonna jack it up, because I've got something else I want to play as well. I want you guys to get a lot of stuff. I'm trying to cram this info in within the first hour, so you can get a lot of content. Something for your things. I want to actually go into the Black Tudors straight after, but this one is about the genealogy of the Queen. I think that's the title of the video. So I'm gonna go straight in.
Good day, everyone. Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. And in this message, we're going to continue with the series of unveiling a lot of deception, a lot of lies that were told to you, the house of Israel, about your identity. And in this message is called King Charles I, King James. We all know who King James is, King James VI and first, Queen Anne, that's King James' wife, and Queen Henrietta, that's King Charles' wife, of Scotland, England, Ireland, France, Wales, Denmark, Norway, were all black. Let's get into this message. As always, this message covers Job 9 verse 24, which warns us that the wicked, the Gentiles, the Caucasians, the whites in our modern day interpretation of that, will disguise, paint over, wipe out the faces of our rulers, leaders, and righteous people. So that's what this is telling us. They're going to cover the face. So you won't know that the people that are being given to you as the face of the Gentile, the Caucasian, and some of them, not all of them, belong in the category of the wicked, has painted it over and given you a false image. So that's what Job 9 verse 24 is telling you. We'll also look at, as part of this series, the testament of Asha, which warns us that these things are going to happen to us. We ourselves, the house of Israel, were disobedient to the Most High and loathed the Lord, and for that we were scattered among all nations. So it was warned in verse 6 that we'll get scattered, and you shall not know your land, which is where you're from, what country you're from, what tribe you belong to, what language you spoke. Because many of us think we're all from Africa, which is not the case. Some of us are from Africa, but most of us were in Europe. A lot of us were already in the Americas. But in the end, this information will come back to you. You will be gathered by your faith, your belief in the Most High and the Lord Thoth, and you'll be brought back into the knowledge of who you are. And that's what we're experiencing right now. King Charles, who is King Charles I? He's King of England, Scotland, France, Wales, during the years of 1625 to 1649. He is the son of King James I of England, the sixth of Scotland. There are a few facts about King Charles I. His last name is Stuart, and he's of the Stuart clan. He lived in Scotland. He was born in Scotland, and then he became King of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and he moved over to England. He founded and established what is now the states of Massachusetts and Maryland in the United States. He founded those states during the colonial time when they were being ruled by the King of England. He was the King of England at that time. He gave the charters to form those two states. He founded and established in the Caribbean Barbados, Montserrat, Antigua, St. Kitts, and Bahamas. He's the one who founded them and established them. He gave the charter as well for the English colonies to be set up on those islands, the first English colonies. The U.S. state North Carolina and South Carolina was named after him. Charles in Latin is Carolus, North Carolina, South Carolina. King Charles, here's the tragic part of it now, he was dethroned, removed from the throne of England and beheaded. His head was chopped off by Oliver Cromwell. His father, as we had covered, is King James I of Ireland, England, Scotland, France, and Wales, was black. We already covered that in another message, but we'll repeat it here. His mother, Queen Anne of Denmark and Norway, she was also black. We covered that in another message. And his wife, Queen Henrietta Marie of France, was also black. So we'll get into this. The Stuart family, they're originally from Scotland. And you look at the Scotland map by clan name and you'll see Stuart all over it. You'll also see other names. All these names are names of black people that occupied the entire Scottish Isle and island during that time. They were all moved out and they're now in the Caribbean. They're now in the US, but they were in Scotland at that time. These are their names. So if you look in any phone book, any list of names, you'll see this name scattered all over the US and the Caribbean. They were originally of Scottish ancestry. But this is where King James Stuart, King Charles Stuart, came from. This
I had to stop it there for just 1 minute, because as he said about the names Stuarts and stuff like this, there's a lot of surnames that a lot of people wrongly attributed to like slavery and all kinds of stuff, and some of it, yes, there was like slave names of some slave masters, but not everybody's name. There's some names that are just, if you trace your name back, you'll find that it's to do with some royal lineage that you've got. Even the word name Douglas, a lot of people find it's, it's actually from the word Dougal, which has got something to do with black or melanated. I think that's what the root meaning of Dougal is. So we've got to understand that even the names, surnames, if you trace some of your surnames, you'll find that unsurprisingly you're related to some form of royalty or another. So and it's not that far. So we're dealing for a few hundred years here. About 300 years tops. So you'll find that if you, and not even 300 years tops, is about 100 years tops that will trace you to your ancestors. That's about 300 years, 400 years old inside this country. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that little tidbit in and let my man resume with the good knowledge.
This is King Charles' father, King James the 6th and 1st Stuart. That's their last name. This is what he looks like. That's a portrait of him that's currently in the National Portrait Gallery of the UK. It's a black person. You look at the person, it's unmistakably, he's a dark-skinned, a black man. But I want to make you know the image, so when you see it, you can recognize it versus all the pale-skinned, fair-skinned images that are being thrown around on the internet of King James. This is another image of King James, which King James had put in his book. This is a book of King James, The Works of the Most High and Mighty Prince James, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, Ireland, and defender of the faith. King James had published his own book. He put an image of himself in that book. This is an image of a black person, unmistakable. This is King James and what he looked like. This is a book that will cover, that talks about all the Stuart. This is a general description of all the Stuarts. It's written by Alan Massey. It's called The Royal Stuarts. And on page 114, it says, it's describing a person. He looked like a Stuart king. And what a Stuart king looked like? Tall and dark. Dark-skinned complexion person. That's what a Stuart king is. So this will settle all dispute on every Stuart line of king, that they had to be dark and they had to have this feature of a Stuart king. King Charles' mother, Queen Anne of Denmark, will go to this book. It's called Anne of Denmark by Ethel Carlton Williams. And on page 21, it says Anne, with her ivory complexion, and at first glance you'll say, wow, ivory, that means white. That's the way it's been told to me. No, ivory is also black. If you go to the Webster Dictionary, you look at the bottom of the right-hand portion of your screen, ivory black, fine kind of soft blackening. So ivory is black, but they put ivory complexion to throw you off. This is a portrait of Queen Anne of Denmark, and as you look, you can see the portrait is of a black woman. It's also in the National Portrait Gallery of the United Kingdom. So this is known. It's nothing new that I'm telling you, but the painted over images are thrown at you to deceive your eyes unless you go into the books and study to show yourself approved to know truth. But that's Queen Anne of Denmark. We'll go to King Charles now and prove who he is. His mother is black, his father is black, so obviously without a doubt he's black, but I want to prove it to you now in writing, so when you see these strange images of King Charles I being Caucasian, being of a pale and fair-skinned complexion, you know it's utter lie. So we'll look at a book called The Royal Passion, the turbulent marriage of King Charles I of England and Henrietta Maria of France. It's written by Katie Whitaker. On 204, it talks about King Charles as a boy. The boy was what people hoped, another black prince. That's Prince Charles when he was young at the time. He wasn't king as yet. So the people were hoping they would have another black prince. His father was black, so they're hoping the son, who is black, is going to be now a valiant black prince. We'll go to another book, Commentary of the Life and the Reign of Charles I, and this is written by Isaac D'Israel. We'll look at page 417, and it talks about Charles I was of a middle stature, his complexion brown. So again, it verifies that he's a black person. In our modern day, a brown-skinned person is a black person. They're all lumped into one. Go to another book, King Charles I, a study by Walter Phelps Dodge. And in this book, on page 28, it talks about King Charles I. Charles, dark coloring, his dark coloring. It's not his hair, telling you his hair is of chestnut, and his dark coloring. It's talking about his skin complexion. Unmistakably, King Charles I was a dark-skinned person, which in our modern day time was a black person. We'll look at another book talking about King Charles I, and this is the book by the name of King Charles I by Pansy Pakenham. And on page 142 of this book, it's talking now about a rhyme, a poem that was written by one of King Charles' close friend after King Charles was killed by Oliver Cromwell. This friend, Harrington, was reminiscing of King Charles I, so he wrote a poem which expressed the rhyme. As I was going by Charing Cross, I saw a black rider on a black horse. They told me it was King Charles I. A black rider, King Charles. So in every indication, the people, his friends, are indicating that he's black, and in the books it's written that he's of dark skin complexion. King Charles was black. He has no other color to be. His mother was black, his father was black. So King Charles I is obviously going to be black. Which brings us to his wife, Queen Henrietta Maria of France. We'll go to a book called The Royal Martyr by Charles Willier Coit. And on page 43 of that book, Princess Henrietta Maria, the princess who had been born in 1609, was then in her 14th year, dark of complexion. So Henrietta Maria was dark. We'll go to another book, Trial of King Charles I by J.G. Muddiman. We'll read from page 8 of this book. Howell, when he had seen the queen, he wrote this of her lovely and lasting complexion, a dark brown. Just telling you her complexion is dark brown. Unmistakably, Queen Henrietta Maria of France was dark skin in what we call in our modern day a black woman. Which brings us to this conclusion. King Charles I of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales was unmistakably a black man. King James's father was a black man. We've covered that. Queen Anne's mother was a black woman. We've covered that in previous message. His wife, Queen Consort Henrietta Marie of France, was black. Yes, there were black people in France. And she came from a king and queen line of France. So the king of France at that time was also black. Spoiler alert that I want to bring forth at this particular point in time. The person who ordered the dethroning of King Charles I and the execution of King Charles I, Oliver Cromwell, was a black man. He was also black. We'll cover that in a later message. Which
had to drop that one just for 1 sec, so just understand now the dynamics of what Mr. saying here. He's basically showing you that, you know, in spite of, I'm giving you this lovely Black History tour, that the infighting that we've all, you know, that we're having between ourselves right now is nothing new. It's something that's happened from long time ago. So it's just to throw the perspective of that. There's nothing new under the sun. A lot of the characters we've always been thinking that it was European were actually black people, and some of them was actually fighting against each other. So we've got factions of our own ancestry where factions of each other were fighting, one to bring in one type of rule, one to sustain something veritable and right. So just to throw some perspective on this, is something that's good to know, because I grew up thinking Oliver Cromwell was a white guy and stuff like this. So it's good to know. It's good to understand the dynamics of this and the context this is coming under, which is very, very good. It's some very deep things to think about when it comes to how this royalty thing plays out, you know. So anyway, yeah, back on it.
Which brings us back to Testament of Asha 7. You shall not know who you are, what land you're from, and what language you spoke. But now it's going to come back to you when the time of Aquarius starts. You shall know and be gathered back into the knowledge of self, back into the knowledge of your connection to the Lord Thoth and to the Most High Allah through the covenant, the agreement that was made by the Lord Thoth.
I'm very, very sorry for keep doing this, but you know, he said something so important. When he talked about the Most High, he called him Allah. I want you to understand this, and this brother's a Hebrew Israelite. So this is again falls in line when I was trying to explain about the Moors being Hebrews and being Muslim, which was because they were synonymous. And that's going to be something I'm going to go more into. I'll probably do it as a whole 12, because I know after this there's going to be a lot of Muslims that's going to be on my throat. But this is all on facts. There's things that people really need to understand. It's really important to understand the truth, you know, so we can see this historical perspective of things where it fits in. So my guy's just now reiterated that he's reading probably from some Old Testament, possibly the oldest form of the Torah, and he's showing you that it's Allah. So this is important to realize this, because they've told us that Islam's just a recent thing, where I really beg to differ, because I've got so much proof to prove otherwise, and I've got all of the authors' names and all the writings and all the ancient texts you can go and refer to, but that's for another complete show. But I thought I'd just stop it just to highlight that point. Back on.
Allah with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that their seed shall inherit the earth at this time. And who are the seeds of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? The dark-skinned people, the black people in our modern day time. Man, woman, know thyself, know who you are, and stand strong, be strong, and stay strong. Good day, everyone. Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. And in this message, I'm going to blow the lid off a lot of deceptions that have been placed around the history of dark-skinned people that were living in Europe. So that's why this message is called Queen Elizabeth I, her father King Henry VIII, and her mother Queen Anne Boleyn, all of England and of Ireland, were black. And always as a point of reference, I have to show you where I'm getting this from in the Bible. And for this, we'll go to Job 9, verse 24, which forewarns us of these things going to happen. And Job 9, verse 24 says, and the earth is always America when you see it in the Bible, is given into the hands of the wicked, the ungodly, and he covereth, meaning hides, disguise, paint over the faces of the judges. The judges are the prophets, the rulers, the leaders of the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, which are the dark-skinned people that are currently living in the earth, America. They won't know all the things that their forefathers, their foremothers have done, because the faces of those leaders, prophets, and rulers will be covered, disguised, and given the identity of another race of people. And therefore you will know not where they're from and who they are, just as how you don't know at this point where you're truly from and who you are and who your leaders are, your judges, your prophets, your rulers, your leaders, because their faces were painted over, as we call it in our modern day term, whitewashed. Let's start with Queen Elizabeth I of the Tudor line of kings and queens. She was Queen of England and Ireland from 1558 to 1603. She was born, raised, lived, and died in England. She started the first English colony in North America. She started it in North Carolina. It did not last very long. It failed. But that was the first English colony that was set up in the English America. She was also the namesake of Virginia. She practiced virginity, and King James, in honor of her, named Virginia after her virginity. Her father is King Henry VIII. There's a lot of information about him. He is the one who had many different wives, and when he got tired of wives, he started locking them up, chopping heads off, so on and so forth. But the good comes with the bad. Her father, King Henry VIII, of England and Ireland from 1509 to 1547, he also was a black person. And her mother, which is Queen Consort, she was also a black complexion person. She was queen from 1533 to 1536. In looking at the lineage of Queen Elizabeth, we start first with her father, King Henry VIII. This is a picture of him. You'll see many other pictures on the internet showing a pale or fair-skinned complexion person, but this is her father, King Henry VIII. He was a dark-skinned black man. In order to know his true complexion, let's consult the Dictionary of National Biography, where the truth generally remains unchanged in these books, but the lies are perpetrated on the mainstream internet. But in this book, we go to volume 26. On page 94 of that volume, down below it says Henry, tall, thick-set form, large limb, ruddy face. So let's look up what ruddy is. Ruddy is of a bright yellow color. It can also be of a red color. The ruddy complexion has always been a mystery to people. What does it look like? What are they talking about when I see the word ruddy? So what I'm presenting to you here are examples of what a ruddy complexion is. So when you read about it in various books, you'll get a framework in your mind as to what they're talking about. So a ruddy red, it's the image on the left-hand side where it's a reddish skin tone matched with a reddish color here. that's a ruddy red complexion. And the picture on the right, that's a ruddy gold. It's a lighter skin complexion with the same redness to the hair. So it's ruddy red and ruddy gold. So when you see and hear things talking about ruddy complexion, this is what they're talking about. So get that picture in your mind. So when these words pop up on you again, you can quickly identify what they're talking about, especially when it relates to people of color, historical documents, because this is the way they were describing the people that look like this in those times before they changed their categorization to black. This is ruddy that you're looking at. Again, ruddy red, ruddy gold. Going back to King Henry VIII, he had a ruddy face. Moving back to this image, this is what he looked like in his ruddy complexion. It's not a fair skin, pale skin complexion as you have seen in many other image that's on the internet of him. He's a black person, what someone would classify now as a black person. Let's talk about Queen Elizabeth's mother, Anne Boleyn. She was one of the many wives of Henry VIII. In looking at this book, Henry VIII, King and Court, written by Alison Ware, on page 263, it tells us a Venetian person who actually saw Anne Boleyn wrote this about her in 1532. Madame Anne is not of the handsomest woman in the world. They're saying she's not exceptionally pretty. She's middling stature, swarthy complexion, and we'll stop there. We'll go look at what swarthy means. In finding out that meaning, you have to go to now the Webster Dictionary of 1828, and this is what you'll find in it. Swarthy, a tawniness, a dusky or dark complexion, meaning she's a dark complexion. If you look up swarthy below it, you'll see a lot of dark hue, dusky complexion, tawny in complexion, swarthy or black. And you break it down into modern day terms, it's a black person. I also gave you the meaning of tawny because you'll see tawny used in many other books to describe dark-skinned complexion person, but of a yellowish dark color. That's a tawny as well. It comes back to it's a black person. Tawny meaning they're much lighter, a little light, what we would call a light-skinned complexion black person. And swarthy is a darker skin complexion black person, but it comes back to what we classify in our modern day term as a black person. So Anne Boleyn, her mother, was black. Let's go back to the national biographer to figure out what her mother complexion is. In volume 1 of that book, page 428, it tells you now Anne, where that Venetian writer now wrote, she's of middling stature, swarthy complexion, and it's also written of in the Venetian calendar, volume 4, number 824. That's where that comment was pulled out, that she's swarthy complexion. We already defined swarthy as a dark-skinned complexion person. Back in that time when this book is written, in our modern day time, that complexion person is classified as a black person. This is Queen Elizabeth I. This is what she looks like in her real image. You'll see a lot of other image out there of a pale skin, fair skin complexion person, but going based on the literature, the actual reading, what was written, not going by your eyes only, but matching up the eyes and the words that are in print of these people, you'll get the true complexion of these people and who they were. So I'm going by words, not by just what my eyes are telling me. This is an image of Queen Elizabeth I, and we'll go into books now to see what she was actually like in complexion. We'll go back to Elizabeth I, another book written by Alison Ware. Let's see what Alison has to say about Queen Elizabeth I. She had a swarthy olive complexion like that of her mother. We already established her mother was swarthy, so now the daughter is also swarthy. just like her mother and even like her father. But we'll dig some more because Allison threw in olive complexion. Let's figure out what olive complexion is. Olive, another word that derived from it is olivaster. If you look at it, darkly brown, tawny. So that's why I gave you the meaning of tawny. It's a lighter black-skinned person in our modern-day term. If you look at the word brown, you also get tawny color, olivaster, so they're all related. It's coming back to a brown skin complexion person. That's what Queen Elizabeth I is and was. She's a brown skin person, which in our modern day term, they're lumped into black person. We're going to look at another book, Sir Francis Drake by John Sugden. John put the description of Queen Elizabeth I in there. Sir Francis Drake was one of the pioneers that was working under the authority of Queen Elizabeth I at that time to explore the New World. And Drake met with her, and this is Drake's description of her. He found her a woman of moderate size with an olive complexion and a golden hair. Again, we're coming back to the olive complexion, and from what we have identified, olive is a brown complexion, a dark brown complexion. That's what Queen Elizabeth I's complexion looked like, a dark brown complexion. Drake saw it, other people saw it, and they gave us description of it. So what the conclusion is, Queen Elizabeth of England and Ireland was what we describe as a modern day black person. Her father, King Henry VIII of England and Ireland, was also black. Her mother, which Queen Elizabeth took her complexion after, Anne Boleyn, Queen of England and Ireland, was black. All three of them were black. The daughter was black. Her father was black. Her mother was black. Can't be any different. These three people were black, so they cannot generate a fair-skinned complexion child. Yes, a black mother can bear an albino child, but we go back now to the written words that Queen Elizabeth was of a swarthy olive complexion, Henry was of a ruddy complexion, and Anne Boleyn was of a swarthy complexion. Conclusion which cannot be disputed by anyone. All three of these people were black. Why am I telling you this, you might ask? And the reason why I'm telling you is that I want you to know there was a strong history of blacks in Europe, especially England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and France. And also that most of the blacks, majority of the blacks that are now in North America, United States of America, in the Caribbean, in South America, in Central America, came from Europe. It's not the story that you've heard where all blacks are from Africa. That's not entirely true. That's partially true, but I'll explain that to you in another message. But
yeah, so that's cut him short there. I hope you got a gist of what he was saying. All of this can be verified. There's so many different sources all saying the same thing, but I found him kind of concise. He got straight to the point, and yeah, it was very important to know. So I'm going to shut the door on King James now, so we now understand, because in the midst of our new king getting crowned, he touched on the first King Charles. He didn't talk about the second one. Second one's interesting. I'm hoping by next time that I do the part 3, you'll get the what we call it, the talk about Charles II, who was nicknamed Black Boy, you know, for obvious reasons. So yeah, we're going to go into that, because then you'll understand like there's been a change from Charles II to this Charles, and in between that, on the journey, I won't make a big meal out of it, but I will break down how this all occurred, and I'll just drop it in bits as we move along. So now on a break time again. I hope you enjoyed that piece. It's an informative Sunday, something for the children to listen to, something for them to look forward to learn about the heritage of our ancestors. and why we should resonate with the words, even the words of the Bible. A lot of people say it's been made up, this, that, and the third. I don't believe any of that. You know, there's a lot of resonation, a lot of deep facts inside of there. But it's just like we have to sift through what's real, what's not real. Even some of the names they've put in, he's giving you an excerpt saying that, you know, God, where we would said Yahweh or Jehovah, has really been said as Allah. And I've always seen it, and that spelling ALA. I've seen it in old versions of the Quran, and I'm now seeing it in this version, because I was looking at what he's reading from, and I think it's the old version of the Torah. You know, just a quick tip again for those that's Muslim listening in and think there's something strange about this. It was written in the Quran that the way of Abraham, that was the old name of Islam. It wasn't called Islam at that time. It's called Milatu Ibrahim, you know, and that was the way of Abraham, which is basically just another way of saying Islam. And again, this is something kind of old. So the old Hebrews and all the old Judaic would have been writing in that point in a way that they have always been writing, which is Arabic. Something I'm going to break down on when I do a whole show about Moors. That's one. I think it's going to be a full 2 hours because there's so much to discuss and go through. Yeah, so I'm going to play some music now, and we've got the next piece I want to quickly run through, and I'm going to run through it very quickly, is about the state of media and the state of our music, the state of the way we control our media, and the fact that we've given powers to other authorities which have been able to dictate how we're presented. So our culture, our art forms, and all our hard blood, sweat and tears has been misappropriated, and I want to go a little bit into that. But before I do that, I'm going to play you a few tracks of somebody, my cousin's son, Anyway the God, and he's been doing what they call like alternative music, not the same mainstream stuff that promotes killing and degrading and stuff like that. He's coming in with some, you know, nice little metaphysics, something to ease the mind, something to take you away from the nightmares we keep putting ourselves through when we reenact it with our vocals and our visuals. So I'm going to be going into that, and I'm really hoping people take heed of what I'm saying. It's going to be slightly fast because the mount is fast, and also I've written the speech down. I don't want to repeat myself too much, and I don't want to go too long into it because I want to try and contain it within an hour. So let me go and pull up Anyway the God, and I'm gonna give you a track called I think it's called The Art of Dan. Oh, wait a minute. It's from the LP The Art of Danway, and the track is called Hollywood. Let the ad go past. Yeah, so it's Anyway the God. It's independent music to chill to, listen to, get some vibes off, and just realize there is another world apart from the killing, shooting, and all them stuff that they try and make believe that's what we do and that's what we believe in. No, we don't. So here we go, straight in.
Anyway, 2007. Yeah.
Big up, Gus. Big up, Asen. Big up. Valley Sweets, Warren, big them up, them talents there, big them up.
The world is ours, and that each and every one of us can reach the stars if we're on screen. Anyway, 2007. Hollywood, we birthed the stars, realist bars, a wild child sent from the God Self-Mars Street. Just like Master Farrar came with the message to tell all the world is ours, and that each and every one of us can reach the stars if we're on screen. That's just to mask what's really going on in this place. Focus past your ability while CCTV's watching us. £40 a week, how many of make it last as they watch us? It's us who's the real cast in this broadcast alive. They love us living off tribe as they keep us in sight, man. It's Star Wars. That's why I say F Hollywood, cause still in the hood ain't jolly good. Nah, I mean, adverse effects of the slavery. Metal shackles still enslaving we. Oh Hollywood, off of the backs of us. using the films on the telly screens. War. 2007. Yeah. They make films about us, menace to society, promoting promiscuity, Ricky Lake and Maury. They telling our stories, our mishaps, our struggles, glorify the gory, our hustle, our hoodlums, guns, knives and crime scenes we live in. But we buy their products so they profit, let's stop it. Think about before you go and cop it. What in your brain do these films really deposit? We wanna be like them, Tony and Sosa, Al Pacino, De Niro and Big Mafiosa. Now we want their women, wanna sample their chocha, pushing the coca, live this real life so we sacrifice our own, huh? That's why I say F Hollywood. Shit in the hood ain't jolly good. Adverse effects of slavery, mental shackles still enslaving we. Yeah, God's calculation is shaping we. The evidence is seen. Yeah. No positive roles for us to hold. All the films with us in it diametrically opposed. Boys in the hood, beef over colors, jewelry and clothes. She going south surrounds our central. Negative portrayal of savages and killers, painting pictures of our heroes and our leaders, the shape of you, of our own. They've given it to you. This is acceptable, Martin Malcolm to name a few. Distorting our knowledge, theaters another school. I watch these films too, but with an extra tool, magnifying glass learned from my uncle Andrew. Decipher and discern the subtleties, these hidden truths. See image is important, they know its value too, but they don't value you. That's why they portray you the way they do. That's why I say F Hollywood, cause stuff in the hood ain't jolly good. Study the glyphs, adverse effects of the slavery. God's calculation is shaping me. Listen to what he's saying. I mean, and they are.
Yeah, straight back in. Yeah, I really like that track, that Hollywood track. I've heard it, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. And I've heard anyway stuff already, and I like it. It's very esoteric, and it's really good because this is like the lyrics he's chatting right now. It fits into what I'm gonna say, and it was not scripted to go like this. Would you believe it? Is we say inshallah, this is the way it was meant to be. This is unbelievable. It is it's exactly what I'm gonna go into. So yeah, this piece again, I write out my stuff, so I'm gonna go into it and fly through as quickly as possible, okay? Because it's really about the state of how our basically what I've written is like the moral fabric that binds us culturally together is slightly frayed, and what I mean by that is our collective cultural ideology and identity is not accurately depicted. Also, it is not promoted to the levels that lets the whole world see it for what it really is, for what it's in its proper purest form. Now, instead of the good music, the good stuff that we need to hear, we have music that contains profanity, promotes negative activity as a way of life. Now, visual depictions of our people in degrading positions, old and young, has been in the eyes of the mainstream for nearly a century. So we've got that long, I think nearly 100 years of how they did us from MGM, juggling watermelons and stuff like this, eyes popping out our head. I mean, really bad. It was a backward view because that time, there wasn't the kind of the technology we got now, like internet, obviously. So we was relying on what was given to us. The whole world was relying on this. So whatever everybody saw is what they believed. Even some of us that knew better even believed this stuff. You know what I mean? And it wasn't really good. It was horrible. You know what I mean? This is how the whole world was influenced in what they saw and in how they viewed us as a nation. But it also influenced our communities as well and how we interact and deal with each other. And in that, I'm going to say is like, you can actually locate sometimes a lot of self-hate is that when you see yourself not depicted in the right way, or you play a role that makes you not, you know, really being the right way. You're not really making yourself look good. A parody, a caricature. Then obviously you get a certain amount of self-hate, which I'm very sure there was a lot of us had that at that time, because, you know, the way things was, you know, people wasn't allowed to express themselves freely. So in the ways that they did express themselves, I think deep down you would have got that, you know. So yeah, this, I said, it's influenced how the world has viewed us, you know, lack of respect, and the way we caricature ourselves and how they caricature us, and how we interact and deal with each other. Now, media companies of old used depictions of our predecessors as slaves, mammies, watermelon jugglers, and shoe-shuffling Negroes eager to please massa, as I went through that already. It's very sad, but that's the truth. I mean, it was a media system that was set up by these guys. I mean, they was in control, so obviously they was in control of what the content of what they was putting out. And this content was very, very handy to give justice to the narrative of colonialism and the injustices that they was doing, you know. And this is the way they used the media system at that time to go around pushing these false narratives. And it's very sad, because a lot of people that was even in the film industry, where the incentives was, they was given like accolades for playing subservient roles, like the mammy in Gone with the Wind and stuff like that. Anytime we played a role of subservience to them, we was given, like, you know, Oscars and stuff, or whatever they was giving out at that time, which is, you know, very, very sad. That's a good example of self-hate right there. And you know, it's sad, and it was misconstrued as success, you know. So yeah, I'll go again. This is sad. Yeah, anyway, our music, and I put down sad old music, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but the music was sad because the spiritual feeling, I could only imagine at that time, or how our people felt in the 40s, in the 30s, 40s and 50s. It definitely influenced the music. So, you know, we got, at that time, we was getting blues. I think that's what was giving birth to blues, rock, reggae, jazz, hip-hop. All of these art forms started to come out, and it was kind of like, it was taking the feelings that we had of despondency, of whatever, and not just all despondency, because we did have beautiful high times and stuff like that, but I'm just saying the overall despondency that people felt because of the system, it kind of came out through the music, and this was promoted and capitalized on severely, to the point like people like Nina Simone, God bless her, she never got her full proper royalties. There's millions of acts, white, black, of all colors, that's been swindled in the music industry, but they really did made a job of black people, because they didn't understand the law and the legislation at that time. And also it's just you know, it wasn't represented properly by us, because we wasn't in control of the commercial aspects, right? Which leads me to the point that the crafting of our global culture was not in our full control. People that financed the industry for music and film directed and influenced our art form, giving us what we have today, you know. And this is the reason why we've settled for what we settled for, because a lot of us have not empowered ourselves and taken the art form and made it serve us. Give people the correct view of the art form and a correct view of what made the art form. It's been pushed and controlled in a certain way, because the big money that's pushing it has bought these characters to do whatever they're going to do. The actors and the singers and the artists have been bought. Yeah, so therefore the narrative of what's really we were supposed to get, we're not getting. We're getting something else. Yeah, the music industry is very influential in how we interact, as music can carry messages and ideologies into the minds of young and old of all nations. So music filled with profanity and films with violence ends up contributing to our communal downfall. Globally, this can be seen like trapping, killing, drug taking, and being disrespectful to our families. The new fads and all the new stuff that's coming out, counterproductive. It's not bringing anybody together. It's bringing more disunity. I mean, all the youths, so a lot of them are united in that stuff, in the sense that they're doing negativity, that, you know, which is really sad, because they have not been taught the value of the word, sound, and power. They haven't been taught the value of influence. They haven't been taught what they ingested. What have they been taught? You know what I mean? Is it something that's viable? Does it make sense? Is it something they're going to teach their future generation? Because that's something a lot of these young youths coming up don't understand that yet. But when they do get older, they do realize, you know. So it's like, again, like, you know, the music industry is very influential, very, very, because it's music. Music is global, so you get a global attention, which is why, like, you know, it's sad to see the direction it's going in, and the direction that a lot of people have decided to just follow. As we can see now, the way we treat each other can be traced either to lyrics or visuals that infer and promote disrespect for each other. Now, I'm not a great psychologist, but if you go and check up any psychologist, they'll tell you that these things do affect how you view and see things. So if you're being given visions and visuals that promote, you know, horrible acts of degradation, then obviously you're going to pick up on that, you know. And if you become desensitized to it, then there's more likely chance you're going to become one of those people that be degrading to other people. And this is something that we can see. I asked the question myself, because I'm guilty of this, and it's like, what reason would any sane-minded person watch and enjoy visuals that show negative activity or narratives that continues to plague our communities and the globe? So, I mean, we sit down and take it for granted. We watch a movie, see somebody get shot, or watch a Marvel film and see like the Hulk smash a building and forget there's, you know, in reality, if such a thing was to happen, there'd be tons of people inside of a building probably dead because of rubble and stuff. We've become desensitized to a lot of things, and a lot of these visuals that we're given is something that is very unhealthy. It's unhealthy for the spirit and the soul, far less for the eyes. You know, even in the children's cartoons, the violence content, we grew up watching Tom and Jerry and thought it was quite acceptable, you know. Yeah, until you, and then you start watching some of the moves Tom do, and then try it on one of your siblings, then you get a clap from mum, you know what I mean, and then realize it doesn't work out, you know. So it's like, I don't know, it's like it's definitely a contributory factor towards our behavior patterns and the way we do things as a community. And if your minds are filled from young to a certain age full of negative inputs, then only, you know, no matter how successful you are, on the way up to your success, you're going to display some of these traits that you've seen, that you've picked up along the way. So yeah, it is definitely there's a case for why our communities are spiraling downhill, because of our music intake and our visuals. The visual one, we do harp on about music a lot. A lot of people will talk about that, but not too many people are talking about the visuals. Yeah. Now, I gave this example of like trapping, killing, drug taking, and being disrespectful to our females, but the majority of our tales that we tell, it has this, and they put these content in. And the excuse will be, oh, it's a story that it has to be told and it's in the context of, and da. It doesn't matter. It's still something that we see. Now, I want to know, why would somebody want to relive a negative moment over and over again? Psychologically, what is it doing to us? You know, the whole point of going through something negative is to find a positive outcome for it. So we've done something wrong, we correct it with something right. So your visuals would have gone from making that wrong move to making the visual of the right move. So we've got to realize that is the things that we're ingesting and we're bringing to ourselves. And when I say ingesting, I mean ingesting through our minds and our eyes and our spirits. It's not helping us, and it's not helping the youth. And it's definitely, you can see the youths are plagued by all of this. Yeah, and that's because they don't know nothing. They don't know history. They don't know their family tree. They don't know they come from a royal lineage of kings and queens that stood up for righteousness and wanted to live in an upright manner. You know, we come from that. That's our heritage. You know, and the heritage meaning that we pass it on to each other, you know, like a blessing. But, you know, we're not doing that, you know. And, you know, again, I've asked that question of why would we want to do this to ourselves? Why would we want to why would actors want to be taking roles that degenerate themselves? and degenerate us as a people. Why would you want to do that? You know, there's other roles you can take. I had a friend of mine that was an actor, well-known actor. I'm not going to say his name. He was in London's Burning. And he told me that, you know, a lot of these actors out there have sold out. And he was telling me how, because he told me he's been approached with some negative storylines and connotations. And he said to me he refused to do them. They offered him the money, but he said, no, I'm not doing it, because it shows me and my people in a negative light. Now, why couldn't all of our actors and actresses do that? You know? This is a question, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't have to be like this, you know what I mean? And it's the same for those that spit those stupid lyrics that don't make no sense. You know, why do you do it? You know, because we're inflicting punishment on ourselves. And we know there's forces out there that's promoting and helping to bring it about. But the final deal is made by the person that agrees to do this. You don't have to. Right. The way we treat each other, I've already said that. We have become desensitized and accept the nonsense too easily. We rewatch others star in movies of killing with music in the background, fueling it lyrically, and wonder why we have the planet as we have it. Now, this is definitely number one, all my people living out there. Everybody on globe Earth, and all my black people, everything you do, you're being watched, right? So everything you do, you're being copied as well. So it only makes sense if people are doing that, you do the right thing. Huh? You do the right thing, let everybody copy the right thing. Because whether you like it or not, and it's always going to be like this until you wake up, that you have the power to change things by just doing the right thing. Because if everybody's following you and doing as you're doing, then it's only common sense to do the right thing, no? Just show them the right way. Show them a way that's going to make them, live good, you know? And if you make your mind up to do it, you'll get paid for that, you know? But if you put money and financial gain before your art form, before your culture, and before your heritage, then, you have to suffer your consequences that come with it, because all them soul sellers and all them people that's doing that nonsense, they know what they've done and they know what comes with it. So, it's up to you. The choice is yours. But it's a case of short-term gain. You understand me? Because it is a short-term gain, because when the money's done and all the time's passed, you're back still in square one. You understand me? For a whole rest of life of damnation because of the wrong decision. Or suffer for your art form if you have to. Be loyal to the craft and watch everybody rate you. Watch everybody put you on the pedestal you should be put on. Our art form, our cultural expression needs to be independently controlled by those that embody what the culture represents. And not by hearsay or by this one say or that one say, but by a collective of people that can verify, that can prove and tell that this person's correct. The way we used to do it in ancient Africa, we used to do it like that. It used to be the people's talk. They talk, they say, oh yeah, we've heard this man is hot. And that's how it was, people reference. When you don't do it like that, you end up with some sad situations like the African Bambata situation going on in America right now, because he still hasn't been brought to justice for what he's done to them boys. But we've got all of this going on because his verification papers was not authentically done, Yeah, and this is the sad thing. And I know a lot of man might hear this, even in America might jump up and say, who am I to talk? But the man done some heinous things to them youths. And instead of you'll bring the man to task, people sweep it underneath the carpet. And it's all part of the culture, and he was supposed to be verified, And deep down, my suspicions is he works with those people, those shady people that finance all this kind of stuff. So, very sad news. So we've got to have people that are credible by the standards of the community and communities that they serve, because that way we have it correct, and then that way we can go forward in a way that, how can I put it, with more confidence. It's something that we really do need to look at. I say big money attracts artists that are signed on conditions of selling their souls whilst trading their talents and injuring the culture they are meant to protect and represent correctly. We must reject these artists and withdraw support entirely. So I'm not going to mention none of these names, but we all know who they are, right? And they're all big names. They're all out there. because they took their little vow, and that's the vow they took. We don't have to even acknowledge them, because what they've gone for is the short-term gain. The people that we need to concentrate on are those that's really going to help our culture, those who make the culture more nicer than what it is, those who represent the culture properly. Those are the people we need to be focusing on. People that talk about relevant subjects that's going to help us overcome situations, people that's going to bring joy in our hearts, help our children, things that we can play for our children, to listen to artists that's going to instruct them towards the right direction. Not people that is incentivized by money and material gain, that cannot help you. Status, clout chasing, we got to let the youths know that don't work. That's just for the shallow minded. That's for those that are not confident within themselves as people, and that's something that they need to work on, some psychiatry stuff for that. That's their problems. But people have to realize that's not what the world is. Anyone believing that is going to be in a world of hurt, and anyone believes that all rich people are happy, better understand it. I think they're one of the most unhappiest types, because there's a lot of bad karma that comes with that money. Right, as I said about the big money, so we know who the big money are. We know the artists that we're talking about that sell their souls. We know what becomes of it. We know what the situation is. But when you see people are under poverty, they want to do well in their lives, or want to, everybody wants to do well, and it's just a sad way that some people want to take the shortcut. Some people are willing to work hard, and it's always been them two types of people. And it don't matter about what backstory you're going to get. Somebody says, oh yeah, no, living on the road for about 10 years, and and then all of a sudden my whole life turned around into that, and or whatever. There's a situation going on right now with Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish, and it's to do with some material that they recorded for Nickelodeon or whatever, but it inferred some very dirty and horrible acts. Now, this was prior to them becoming famous, so now all of a sudden they've embarked on this and whatever, and this has all been dug up and pulled out. I think it's gone as far as a court case even. They reckon they was being extorted or whatever, but it's something that the evidence is out there. You can see what they've been doing, and it's sad because again, the big money buys these guys, and then they decide they have to sell themselves, and sell the whole culture. If you sell yourself, that's cool. That's just between you and that one that you made the deal with. But one thing you don't do, you don't drag your whole culture, because people around the globe is actually going to think we get down like that, and we don't. We're some godly people, so it's just how it is. For the minute, because of the way this is all being promoted. Now, if all artists and actors decide to promote all our positive attributes, we can truly support them. But in the same breath, all the negative promotions from artists of any kind should be boycotted, because we've said this a good few times. So if you see somebody or hear somebody doing stuff that's not within our cultural parameters, we just cut that off. If you're influential enough to create some movement that can boycott them, even better. But we just cut them off, because giving energy to any of that just gives them more life. They only cater to a minority. It's just that the promotional machinery has made it that they can get away with what they're getting away with. But again, if everybody starts to wake up and see that we want better things to listen to, we want better mental pictures, we want better visual pictures, something positive for our children to cherish and learn by, something we can all sit down and watch together. If there's nothing like that going on, then it ain't gonna work. Because I'm guilty as hell on this as well, because I listen to some battle rap stuff, and sometimes I play it loud enough for my kids there, and it's not good. It's stuff that I'm working on it, but I'm just gonna be truthful. It's there. It's all around. But by the grace of God, I don't really play it for them to sit down and take it all in. They get little snippets. They probably heard of it, but it's still not good. We've just got to make a concerted effort that we want to give our children and ourselves the treat of hearing something that is good for the spirit and the soul, as opposed to just messing about with our minds and torturing ourselves with the stuff that we watch and hear. Okay, we must put consumer pressure on all performers to represent our people properly. Yeah. So basically, we shouldn't go to these movies that has all these actors that denigrate us. You know, I mean, there's millions of them out there. But, you know, who's going to do that? I'm willing to do it. You know, we've got to stop it. Even watching it on Netflix, all of these guys that ain't really putting us in the right light and selling out and making us look foolish, we shouldn't be entertaining them, because they're clowns for the people, the other people that like that. But we don't want that. You know, we don't want that kind of stuff. You know, the buffoonery and all the nonsense. You know, comedy is beautiful and good, but when it comes to self-degradation and we're laughing at that, it don't make no sense. And there's so much of it around that we've let it become a norm in the society. We're the only people I see go and pay money so we can be, you know, degraded. You know what I mean? For people to laugh at us, you know, and do like they're laughing with us. And this is our own people, and making a bag of money out of that. But we pay for that. So we have to make up our minds. Are we going to pay for this stuff? Are we going to pay for music that is not really spiritually enhancing us? Are we going to big up all of these artists that we know is working with the ones that buy up all the souls? You know, we've got to realize, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Are we going to be part of that problem or the solution? And the solution means activity on those that are actually watching or witnessing, which is all of us. Right, I've already gone that actors don't need to, for example, don't need to take roles that are degrading. We know that they don't have to, just like as artists don't need to say certain things that they say. The ones that do and have sold out, we must boycott and leave to God's judgment. Our young directors must be encouraged to promote the excellence of our communities, drawing from our vast cultural heritage and other positive cultural influences around us. You know, because we have so much, so much. So, you know, like much as, you know, a Duff track, say, there's certain tracks that come out and you will always remember because they're the way they've promoted them. But you can hear certain cultural tunes come out and you'll never forget them, you know, because of the content. It's done something to your soul, so it struck something within you, you know. So those are the things that become classics. Even some of these guys, these rappers or whatever that rappers, you know, they'll have an LP with a lot of garbage on it, but there'll be a track that resonates with your soul, you know, and then that will be the track that they'll be known for, you know, and you know, more than likely you'll have some positive stuff in there, you know. But again, you know, as I say, you know, the influence, we've just got to be the ones to put a standard up and say, this is our standard bar. This is what we expect to be given to us, so we can give to our children, and we're willing to finance it. We're willing to back up all the directors, all the young artists. You know, we're going to encourage our young artists to keep up their craft in spite of the temptations of all the big money and the selling of your soul. You know, I mean, which is basically profiting and degradation, which is basically profiting from degradation, you know, because that's all they're doing. You know, even from the big execs to the artists themselves, they profit from degradation. You know, this is not good. We must promote all our positive artists. That's something we must do ourselves. You know, buy their music that we see on road. We see those youths on road. Buy a CD. You know what I mean? If it's good music, if you know, they'll give you an excerpt to listen to. Listen out for positive stuff. We promote that. You know, we promote that. We promote positivity, not negativity, not things that's going to make us want to, you know, smack our girl, talk about smack your girl, or take this drug, or go and take this money in this way and do this, that, and the third. We've got to have artists talk about businesses, rap about real estate, rap about how to set up a business, rap about how to set up a barber's or whatever business you want, because there's too much talent out there, you know. So, you know, in as much as you want to talk about trapping, you know, and all of these things, what you know, why can't you turn your pen to writing about what you would do if you had all that money you made from trapping, and what would you know, what kind of business would you go into? You know, what are you going to do to help your community? What are you going to do to leave as a legacy for your futures that's coming after you? Because no doubt you're going to have children, all you rappers and all you actors and everybody. What are you going to leave for them? So think about all of these things as artists in as you pursue your craft, and when you endeavor to do your craft, remember that you are supposed to be catering for the globe, you know, and offering something that's going to help the globe, not put us back in a problem again, you know. Because I used to watch all them movies, like, you know, and listen to stuff, and all I've seen from us is that we glorify the violence, we regurgitate all the bad experiences that's happened to our girls and happened to us as guys, and we play and then glorifying the violence of it, and then we pay for it with our labor, and then we get paid from it. So in all of this, it's an unholy, like, trinity almost, you know, of bad energy, and the money is bad, whether you want to believe it or not. And some people don't believe in these things, but I genuinely believe in energy, and I believe if you got money from ill-gotten gains, in the long run, it's gonna clamp you. You understand me? Unless you do something good with it, you know, turn it into something pure, which you can do. You know what I mean? You don't have to settle for the narrative of what's out there, or for what they try to make you believe is the narrative for success. You know, success is always by the graph of people that know, and all of us on the world, we do know now, especially now more than ever. So when we see and hear positive things, a lot of people will gravitate towards that. Yeah, but there's also wolves in sheep's clothing, and that brings me to this part. Those we know who has sold their souls, we leave to God's judgment and focus only on who helps to bring positive vibrations and energy in our community, and that is universal. This is for anybody of any color, any tribe that brings something positive to the community and wants to bring something in addition. Is always going to be welcomed. It's going to be assimilated. It's going to be welcomed, and we're going to deal with that. And those are the ones we celebrate and acknowledge. Those are the only people you deal with. Yeah, those are the only people you deal with. If you're going to hear some waste man talking about some waste lyrics and some waste time stuff we've heard a million times before, that's our waste. So we'll park it in the garbage section and move on. You know, and that's of any color, because what I'm talking about is a universal thing. You know, and the reason why I'm barking on my people is because we're the most influential, whether we like it or not. So we've got to change that. And I think when we change the narrative ourselves consciously, I mean, when I say consciously, it means that everybody involved, from old to young, mothers, and, you know, I'm going to get to the mothers and fathers bit as I move down. In fact, I'm already on it. Last and most importantly, in line with what Muta Baruka discussed concerning parental responsibility, all of us as parents must make sure our children are brought up with respect for themselves and others by example, and by guiding them towards listening and watching positive influences. And much as we know that's a battle in today with all the stuff they throw on Netflix or on TV or whatever, we still have the powers to navigate with the remote control, go to even to the wildlife section. That's what I do with my children, wildlife. I put on some stuff so them to see, learn about nature. I'm not gonna lie, to shut them up sometimes we'll quickly fling on a Peppa Pig or whatever, which is all nonsense. You know what I mean? I've it's the battle, but I've been winning in this battle because I've been putting some more how can I put it, better programs for them to look at and things for them to try and understand, because I find that the children, when they get the positive stuff, they ask more questions and they start trying to work out the environment, and it's good because it's just good for their brain, fill their brains up. Because I find when my children are behaving the most naughtiest and the most foolishness, that are the most behaving the most naughtiest and the most stupidest, is when they've had that brain full of that nonsense. You know what I mean? Even Teen Titans and all of this nonsense stuff. You know, when I grew up, it used to be a program called Tomfoolery. I used to watch it, and it was called Tomfoolery, and I used to love it because it was so, you know, stupid and out there and this and that, and we thought it was, you know, adventurous stuff. By the time, it was a bag of nonsense, and it interrupts your brain waves and stops you thinking in the correct manner. You start becoming fool, you know, because of that. So we got to, you know, put good stuff in our children's head. And I didn't check all of what Muta Baruka was discussing about the parental right video he put out, which I think is just a recent one, but it covers our responsibilities, which is important. You know, we are responsible as parents. It's our duties to look out for what our children listen to and watch. You know, because you don't want your children watching all the foul stuff that's easily available. And that's what we've been doing in the house, me and the missus with the children. We've been trying our best to make sure that they watch content that is within their parental age, and also stuff that's going to help their minds grow, you know. So this is important, and it's important that we take that up, because that's our, you know, we're meant to do that. That's an unsaid law, but I don't think we realize how strong the vibrations and the influential energies of negativity that's been permeated through the music business and through the media. That it's like a constant microwave of energy bombarding our skulls. Because even when we turn the TV off in the night, me and the missus there, it's a completely different energy. It's like the thing that was covering your skull, it's just gone, and your brain feels a bit free. Now imagine children who are more sensitive, you know. We expose them to a lot of stuff, and we have to change that. We have to feed them with the correct knowledge from baby, you know. So as it says, from baby we must guide them to the right stimulation, and do not fill their brains with foolish programs that teach nothing. Introduce their rich culture to them in its full positive representation until they can decide to do this for themselves. Now this is what we do, you know. And that's why, like, it hurts me for the music business, because it's like, you know, everybody wants to be rich, and you know, you can't blame people who wants to see their mum suffer or their dad suffer, or you yourself suffer. Why should anybody suffer? But again, the big but, you have to put it into your mind that no matter what you do in life, if you want success, you have to work hard at it. There's no shortcut. If there is a shortcut, it's usually by the author of wickedness himself, and then you end up selling your soul. And do you know the joke of it? A lot of these people that have sold their souls, they ain't got no good out of it. You know, they ain't got no good out of it. You know, and if it's not people around them that's not good, that suffered for it, they themselves are constantly suffering because it's a bad choice, and you haven't got the freedom to be who you really naturally want to be. You know, it is in the divine nature of people to want to see good for each other and want to give each other good advice and good knowledge. You know, when people behave unnatural, you'll see it. And also the ones, especially the ones that have sold themselves, we can see on their videos of all their little things that they do, their stuff, the signs and that they throw up and all of that. We know that's the way they want to get down, but we don't have to follow that. And we don't have to big it up. We don't have to acknowledge it. We don't have to watch it. We don't have to give it any credence. What we also just got to do is just tune our brains into wanting better, and actually being the change that we want to become. Play the music we'd like to really hear or want to give to the people, and just do the right thing. Reject this music business as it is. We can create our own business. Independent is always best. And again, we've got communities, and if you go to your community and show them what you're doing, I'm very sure you can get your community to go behind you if you do things in the right mannered way. But right now, we're going to get back into that. That's my quick take on all of this. It was just about my concerns about the media and the control we have, which we're supposed to have stronger controls. We can have it if we want. People have to just decide they're not going to sell their souls. People have to also decide that we've got the power to do this. We've got many black millionaires now. We can sit with people, create our own label, create our own stuff, do like Motown, create our own Motowns in England. We can do anything we want, but people have to make the choice and have to decide: are they going to work hard for the thing that's going to last forever, or are they going to just sell their soul for 2 minutes? 2 minutes of fame. They don't even get the 15-minute of fame. They get the 2 minute of fame. And it really will, it is like 2 minutes by the time they're done with them. You know what I mean? You got young thugs sitting up ready to do life. You got all of these guys getting banged up after they had that little money. It's gone to their head and they forgot who they signed the contract with. So we got to realize, for every pro there's a con, we know. But, you got to be real. What do you want in this world? And all them youths out on road. Are you going to continue to be at ends with each other over the nonsense that you listen to? Is ego worth it? Is people dying around you worth it? Is this what you think? That even if those of you don't say you don't believe in God, do you think any of your family members are happy with that? We want peace, love, and harmony. Yeah. And I'm gonna play another track from Anyway to God. because you know it's all about independent music that's good for the soul. So I'm gonna play something from him. I like his content. I've always liked his stuff. You know, I want people to wake up now and realize we have to make a choice of the kind of stuff we want. Are you going to drink the same juice that's no good for you, or drink the same stuff that's no good for you? You're going to eat the same stuff that's no good for you. You're going to listen to the same stuff that's no good for you. Start giving yourself the nice stuff. You know, start treating yourself with love and respect. This is a global message for everybody, especially my black people who I love so dearly and know the God and the goddess of them. You know, they just need to remember it. And this is why with this, when we look into things, we're looking into it so that we can see our chakra energy build up and feel confidence about who we are. I gave you a piece about the royalty just to, you know, wake you up that you're part of royalty. And I've told you about the names, your surnames. I'm going to go into that into more depth as I go into it, as I move along. But let me go into the music, because I'm going to start blabber on. It's been, hope I haven't bored everybody. I really want you guys to get this, get the feeling. We are here to bring this earth to a lovely vibration. We want people to love each other and just respect each other. You know, so one of the things we have to do is respect ourselves and talk the stuff that gives us respect and be the stuff that gives us respect, so that the whole world can understand the narrative of who we are culturally. We're blessed, man. And we just got to see that blessing, because when you see it and feel it, others feel it, you know, and then they'll come and tell you stuff that you never even realize about yourself. But anyway, straight into Anyway to God. I have to say, God bless everybody. I hope you have a beautiful bank holiday, beautiful week, prosperous week, a week full of wealth, health, good energy, good news, good vibrations. I will play one called Realize. I'm supposed to sign off for what's the name, Brother Brian's due to come in. If he ain't coming yet, you might hear me again. I might come and drop some more tunes. I'm going to play this tune now called Realize, Anyway to God, from the LP Daniel. It's called Daniel, wow, let me get it. So I flipped off the, right, it's called The Art of Dan Way by Anyway to God. That's the LP. And yeah, this particular track is called Real Eyes, featuring Moralistic. Okay? Okay.
The brain to control and use for their bad demise. Then reprocess and sold just like merchandise to work for these devils. Realize with your real eyes. The fed lies and dispose past and present times. They hypnotize them, subconsciously tranquilize. The brain to control and use for their bad demise. Then reprocess and sold just like merchandise to work for these devils, taking our very lives. With no essence, just existing, stay dreamatized. Brain dead and not free, we stay zombified. The food ain't even real, it's genetically modified. Can't feel, abuse each other to get satisfied. They dress our women so our men can be womanized, lustified, and booty mesmerized. For fun we mess about, getting pissed at nights. Seek substance in drugs just to get heights. Getting fights, pick up women with unknown signs. Not appreciating that we're entering blind. In time a monthly doesn't come, it's blue lines. You don't love her and you can't say it's not mine. Want to care but fight every time you try. Beating baby mother bruised on the outside, but the deepest bruise is on the inside. In the child, the womb is being fed by a hurt mum and stressed man, problem rise. No spirit still zombified, it hits 9. Mum's a newborn to mum, not any surprise. Body exhausted, not realizing new life. Because a dead person don't appreciate life. This is all done by design and disguise. To brain fry, blind sight and dumb minds. And not see the life fully clothed in suit and ties. Notice the evil doings of wickedly wise. Babies are just statistics, innocent cries. For them to neutralize and then be controlled by these devils who study, watched and scrutinized. Us as a people victimized and vandalized. To deplete us from man to beast, dehumanized. Now the child has grown up, demoralized, unstabilized, with guns and knives, beating our wives, police brutalize, men they feminize, all terrorize. Self we cannot find, for my people I have to sympathize. Intrigued by the rubbish that they televise. Our eyes ain't, our eyes, it's more like hell, not paradise. Now you can visualize what I verbalize. See his true plan to eliminate, take with him too, all this rule applies. Like imps we've been demonized. No such thing as a clear sky. Find solutions, cause this is our time to equip the mind. It's up to you to put it right. It's everybody's fight. It's everybody's fight. Realize with your real eyes.
Yeah, that was Anyway to God, I tell you. And you look at that, as the thing talk, as the music play, it's like all in one the same thing. So it wasn't even scripted, but God scripts everything. So, you know, it's been a very, very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little pleasure for me to talk to you guys. I'm going to play some more tracks from you. I'm going to go and touch in to some Afro beats. In fact, let me play one piece of reggae, because I should have played at least one good piece. And there's a piece to do with us as hosters and as DJs and entertainers. This was a tune that touched me from when I was a youth. Yeah, and it's a tune by a guy called Earl 16. It's called Earl 16 and Mikey Dread. It's a tune called Mr. DJ, and it just encapsulates what we was talking about in content of what we give each other, the positive stuff. So yeah, this is an old tune, but it's a goodie. 1981, in fact. Oh Lord, I imagine that I was raining strong to that, to let you know how old I am. Yeah, Mr. Earl 16, Mr. DJ on Mikey Dread, Dread at the Control Tower Productions. Here we go straight into some beautiful rubber dub selection, because I ain't gonna forget. Yeah, but yeah, you know, I had to play a couple of different bits.
Let the music play, Mr. DJ. Oh, yeah. Mr. DJ, please play my song, so the children and the people can sing along. It's knowledge and the wisdom for the young and old. And I'm crying out my son. Mr. DJ, let the music play. 'Cause it's knowledge and culture for the youth of today. Mr. DJ, I beg you one more play. 'Cause it's a music, I rather music, it only needs a play. Mr. DJ, let the music play. 'Cause it's a rock, it's a double rock, 'cause it's a ghetto reggae. Mr. DJ, everywhere I go. The people moving, people grooving, but they still want to know why a music like this and music is not on the radio. So Mr. DJ, I let the music play. It's knowledge and culture for the youth of today. But the music plays, Mr. DJ. Oh yeah, I'm Mr. DJ. I'm Mr. DJ, please let the music play. 'Cause it's a rocker, 'cause it's a nut, 'cause it's a ghetto reggae. I'm Mr. DJ, everywhere I go. To the party, or to the movie, to the disco. The people moving, but they still want to know why a music like this and music is not on your radio station.
More rhythm for you, more rhythm. We're going to go into another one quick time before I run off. A little bit of something different you guys ain't usually hearing. It's Wizkid Oluwajegba remix with Drake and Skeppy. I'm gonna quickly play this tune. All the Niger massive them who love good music. We ain't forget it. Listen up, enjoy on your Sunday afternoon. All my West Indian massive that love the good music. You can just shake up the hips while you're making the macaroni and cheese or whatever you're doing. Just enjoy good music. Yes, Radio 1, big them up in every instance we can. The radio station where positive energy lives on every day. Bless Radio 1.
I got that explain. Are you feeling good tonight? Still got me thanking God for life. I just can't explain. I can't explain, no. Yeah. Look, it's gonna be a long time before we stop. Boy, they better know who made the scene pop. All I ever needed was a chance to get the team hot. Only thing I fear is a headshot or a screenshot. Pre me, them a pre me. You know they only call me when they need me. I never go anywhere, they never see me. I'm the type to take it easy. I took girls in the very first text I sent. I don't beg no lovers, I don't beg no friends. If you wanna link, we can link right now. Skip us and Drake, it's a thing right now. Are you feeling good tonight? This thing got me thanking God for life. I can't explain. I can't explain. When I was in school, being African was a diss. Sounds like you need help saying my surname, miss. Try to communicate, but every day is like another episode of Everybody Hates Chris. Ever since mom said, son, you are a king, I feel like Floyd when I'm stepping into the ring. Just spoke to the boy, said he's flying in with a ting. We're touching the road to celebrate another win. We're going in, why am I repping these ends, man, I don't know. The government played roulette with my postcode. All I know is it's where my people, them are suffering. I've seen it before, narrate the story as it unfolds. Dad certified the settings and my mum knows. My mind full of more bullets in your gun holes. Now I've got the paintings in the front row saying Skeppy come home, baby come home. Yeah, I love the sun but I respect the rain. Look forward to good times, can't forget the pain. I was the kid in school with the £10 shoes, white socks, jack ups and the pepper grain. Said they're gonna respect me for my ambition. Rest in peace my niggas that are missing. I had to tell my story cause they'd rather show you black kids with flights on their faces on the television. I'm feeling good tonight. This thing got me thinking of life. I can't explain.
Godly Now is the track by Omale. Omale, my last track before I go. Godly.
I don't wanna give my life for you, give my life for you.
Bless Radio 1 FM.
All over the news, only God and I know the kind of thing I do, the kind of thing we do. Man, I thank God I got the lead. Say God no ungodly. All one ain't comforting me. When these people they come body me. Man, I thank God I got the lead. Say God no ungodly. All one ain't comforting me. When these people they come body me. It's why I die sometimes. To Henny and Ice. Coffee cool over
boy, no. Make I play you my cassette, you. Anything you sell is a market, you. Try to they look from my aspect, you. They loud them at the handset, you. Me I know fi drag the shine. Oluwa na be my country down. Me I know they try to connect the lights. I just want Charlie boy day, make Charlie boy day. Man, I thank God I got the lead. Say God no, I got the lead. Oluwa na ain't comforting me. When these people they comforting me. Man, I thank God I got the lead. Say God no, I got the lead. Oluwa na ain't comforting me. When these people they comforting me. It's why I die sometimes.
Father, Final, and Brother Alamade. This is tracks, is, we got to just play good music now.
That's the craft.
Niger style for them on a Sunday afternoon. Brother Abz, just flip it a little bit before he leaves. I'm just stretching it a little bit. I ain't seen Brian coming with his show enough. So I don't know if it's still on, but I'm gonna play two tracks to keep the ears popping.
I just want to say thank you, Jehovah. See, I'm living life.
That's the craft on the beat.
No, I do. Chineke me go kwango benes again. Every day by day I just they celebrate. Everything I do we just they penetrate. I just want to say thank you, Jehovah. See, I'm living large, I get angels for my ghetto. Never forget where I come from, not from ghetto. No. I just want to say thank you, Jehovah. Who can I want to go, Father, I don't come to know ya, no Father, Putirogo one bello. I call look if I follow one day you must go. See I come from east the enter street border you know. Hey Jimmy I don't to beast you already know. If I know now you no more don't get the oh now